once mighty German Empire now survives in memory. The once mighty German Emperor Wilhelm II now survives in exile. With defeat has come a new government, a new system, a new way, the Weimar Republic. But the new way, democracy, is born in an atmosphere of dissolution and frustration, coupled with collapse, with poverty, with despair, war debts and reparations, war guilt and inflation. Soon, all too soon, from the depths where unrest and resentment fester, are heard the distorted trumpetings of the future. If a people is to be free, it needs pride and willpower, defiance, hate, hate, and once again, hate. Knowing no democratic tradition, the Germans attacked their infant republic. Radicals of the right, radicals of the left, inflame the discontented, exploit the chaos. In Saxony and in Thuringia, in the Ruhr, communist uprisings, strikes, violence. Attacks from the left, attacks from the right. To the uprooted of both right and left, demands a fraud, the Republic a hoax. Among the bitter and bewildered, among the politically immature, the politically weak, a new infection begins to spread from the gutters of Munich, where men dressed in brown and called stormtroopers make propaganda for a violent political program that promises to redress Germany's wrongs and exterminate her enemies within and without. Many stop and listen. Some begin to believe and hope. And some join the struggling new movement, which calls itself the National Socialist German Workers' Party. Nazis for short. And its slogan, Germany Awake. Adolf Hitler, an obscure but brilliant Austrian rabble-rouser, is the leader of the German Nazis. And he tells them, the principle of democracy is the principle of destruction. Only force rules. Struggle is the father of all things. Virtue lies in blood. Leadership is primary and decisive. The demand of Hitler is a cry for violence. Violence against the Republic and destruction of the Versailles Peace Treaty, which shackles German militarism. Violence against the Jews and destruction of all who question the racial superiority of the Germans. Says Hitler, we will incite the people. We will lash them to a frenzy. He does. He began with 7 men in the back room of a Bavarian beer hall. 4 years of time and 4 years of continuing despair net him a following that hails him as der Führer, the leader, and sees in him the hope of Germany. His speech has strange powers to rouse and inflame an audience. It is our mission to cause unrest. We shall see to it that disorder arises, that there is no quiet in the world. Intoxicated by public acclaim, overestimating his political strength, Adolf Hitler, in November of 1923, stages his first revolution, an armed march through the streets of Munich to overthrow the government of the state of Bavaria and seize power. But the state is still stronger than the Nazi Party. The Führer is the first to flee as 16 of his stormtroopers lie dead or dying in the street. But he fails to escape and is sentenced to prison for treason. At the age of 35, his career seems over before it fully started. So it seems in 1923. But Adolf Hitler never doubts, never, his destiny. In prison, he writes a book, Mein Kampf, My Struggle, in which he boldly decrees his program for conquest and oppression. The world ignores him, but the seeds have been scattered and they find their soil. Out of the mob, new Nazi personalities emerge. Joseph Goebbels, a rejected writer. Hermann Goering, a jobless Air Force officer. But the unquestioned leader remains Adolf Hitler. Released from jail through political influence, he is back at the head of his private army, whose creed is, Europe and the rest of the world can perish in flames. What is that to us? Germany must live and be free. And to the German youth, Hitler says, you are today the defense of a movement which is called to revolutionize Germany someday from the bottom up. This man becomes the mythical symbol of hope for myopic thousands of all ages, all classes. But Adolf Hitler means to be more than a mere symbol for thousands. He means to be absolute master of Germany's 62 millions. And on Germany's millions, he turns the power of his dark, demonic personality, the flood of his impassioned oratory. His method is a thousand-fold repetition of a few simple points, a few shoddy ideas. Germany, he says, was never defeated. She was stabbed in the back by Jews and traitors at home. The pure Aryan Germanic race is destined to rule the world. Only a strong man, a dictator, can save Germany from red revolution and democratic weakness. He appeals to patriotism and to national pride, to hatred and to resentment. Always and everywhere, the appeal of this master of opportunism is emotional, irrational. He says, reason can treacherously deceive a man, but emotion is sure and never leaves him. And in order to make them a tool of my policy, his only real policy, his only real program, power without limit. We are a people which from its infancy learns to be disciplined, says Adolf Hitler. He mocks those who speak of the love of peace and admits the Germans may listen for a time until, says the Führer, an ordinary military band comes by. Then a man awakens from his dream state. Suddenly he begins to feel like a member of the nation that is marching, and he joins in. All our people need is this one example. 1, 2, 3, we are on the march. Now, the rejected writer Joseph Goebbels has an outlet for his words, written and spoken. As chief Nazi propagandist, he proselytizes according to the formula of his Führer. The people, in their primitive simplicity, are more easily taken in by a big lie than a small one. Joseph Goebbels drenches Germany in a torrent of big lies, and the day is coming when he will say, in truth, Propaganda made the Third Reich. Hitler says, we will overthrow the present parliamentary regime in a legal way, with legal means. And he says, we do not need a putsch, an uprising. Democracy must be destroyed with the weapons of democracy. So the Nazis vie for votes with communists and social democrats, nationalists and centrists. And with the coming of the Great Depression, unemployment increases 100% in Germany. And so does the Nazi vote. The German Republic verges on paralysis with the clash of 24 political parties. The one stabilizing factor seems to be the Reich president, venerated Field Marshal von Hindenburg, hero of the Great War and symbol of Prussian solidity. In 1932, at the age of 84, he is re-elected, defeating Adolf Hitler. But Hitler's political power becomes greater than ever with the election of 230 Nazi delegates to the Reichstag, the German parliament. Hitler now has more members in the Reichstag than any other party. Sieg Heil, hail victory. Hindenburg sees only two alternatives: political stalemate or accepting as Chancellor Adolf Hitler. January 30th, 1933. President Hindenburg appoints Hitler Chancellor of Germany. The ceremonies are formal and they are proper. Who remembers what the German poet Heine wrote 100 years earlier? When once the restraining talisman of the Christian cross is broken in Germany, then the fury of the ancient warriors, the berserk rage of which the Nordic poets sang, will surge up again. The old stone gods will rise from forgotten ruins and rub the dust of 1,000 years from their eyes. And Thor, with his giant hammer, will leap up and smash the Gothic cathedrals. And when that crash comes, it will be like nothing heard before in history. Now Germany marches to the twisted, to whom the torches are lighted, says, yes, we are barbarians. Now the real conflagration begins in Germany. The Reichstag, those red sabotage, outbreak of the communist revolution, cry the Nazis, who have secretly set the fire themselves as a pretext for abolishing civil liberties and arresting political opponents. In the ashes of the Reichstag, democracy flies out, and the time of terror begins. With pomp, with pageantry, with Wagnerian grandeur, in mass demonstrations that create mass emotion, Adolf's visible his proclamation of the new order. The whole German nation today advances at the same marching pace, in the same rhythm of the National Socialist political philosophy. He who believes he may keep to old, outlived forms of life will be trampled down and destroyed. And millions millions of Germans solemnly swear the oath composed by Hitler's first deputy, Rudolf Hess. We bind our lives to a man through whom superior forces act in fulfillment of destiny. Do not seek Adolf Hitler with your brains. You will find him with your hearts. Adolf Hitler is Germany, and Germany is Adolf Hitler. Hitler. The individual has as little right to question his political leaders as the soldier to question the orders of his military superiors. For the new Germany is organized not like a nation, but like an army. And its language, says Adolf Hitler, is the language of cannon. His satrap, Hermann Goering, becomes chief of German rearmament. The factories boom, unemployment vanishes. And Hermann Goering, once a fighter pilot for the Imperial Germany of the Kaiser, now commands an air force, resurgent Third Reich of the Führer. Hitler. To be a leader means to be able to move masses. I am conscious that I have no equal in the art of swaying the masses. If Hitler is the mass magician, the sorcerer's apprentice is Joseph Goebbels. Goebbels. Our goal is that the whole nation will think homogeneously, that there will exist only one public opinion for all. And he presides over an anti-intellectual ritual, the burning of the books, to symbolize the extermination of independent thought and free speech by gun and fire. The masses understand only when they are conscious of a master. Terror is the most effective political instrument. It is my duty to make use of every means of training the German people to severity and prepare them for war. Heinrich Himmler is Hitler's deputy for terror and the training of terrorists. A former chicken farmer, prim, precise, and pitiless. In the secular monasteries of the movement, called Ordensburgen, Himmler educates the cream of German youth for his SS, his elite guard, an order of Nazi knights molded in the vision of the philosopher Nietzsche, a band of splendid blonde beasts, a race of conquerors and masters, pledged to protect the holy grail of pure Germanic blood from the corruption of inferior races. Says their Führer, a youth will grow up from whom the world will shrink back, a violent, dominating, brutal youth. There must be no weakness or tenderness in it. I want to see in its eyes the gleam of pride and independence of the beast of prey. Against all opposition, the strategy of the Nazis is the strategy of terror. The stormtroops and SS men, creatures of the gutters and back alleys, have risen up to dominate a modern state. In high places and low, within the party and without, there is no law in Germany but the will of Adolf Hitler, and the Führer has said, heads will roll. Where has God gone? Asks Nietzsche's madman. I will tell you. We have killed him, you and I. We are all murderers. Where are we going? Away from every sun? Are we not slipping into an abyss? Are we not wandering aimlessly in an infinite void? Do we not feel the cold touch of emptiness? Has it not grown night not falling, ceaselessly and ever darker? At Dachau near Munich, at Oranienburg near Berlin, at Buchenwald near Weimar, the concentration camps of the Third Reich break the land of Bach and Luther, of Brahms and Schiller. Monuments erected by totalitarian experts who organized the murder of 12 million helpless human beings. And yet, the German masses echo the passion of their Reich Marshal Hermann Goering. How may I find words for your deeds? Has any mortal being ever been loved so much as you, my Führer? Has any faith ever been as strong as that in your mission? God sent you to us for Germany. All Germans cry out in this hour, Heil now and in all eternity, our fervently loved Führer, who alone has made our lives again worth living.